Hi, my name's Olivia, and I've always been the overlooked one in my family. My sister, Chloe, is the golden child. She's beautiful, confident, and somehow everything she touches turns into some grand celebration. And me, I've spent my whole life quietly doing the right thing, only to be ignored, always second place. Always the one who gets the leftovers. Or at least, that's what I thought. This Christmas, things went from unfair to absolutely ridiculous. While Chloe got an $80,000 BMW, I got a $2 keychain. Yep, $2. And that's when I made a choice that would change everything. I drove the BMW home. Dad called me, yelling, "Return it or we'll report it stolen." Here's the thing. They didn't know it was legally in my name. And what happened next? Well, you're about to hear the full story. I woke up that Christmas morning with that familiar mix of hope and dread. You know the feeling, right? The one where your stomach twists because you know you're about to be disappointed, but you're still hoping something amazing will happen. That was me. Maybe this year I thought they'd notice me. Maybe Mom would smile at me like she actually meant it. Maybe Dad would say something nice, instead of that usual patronizing "good job, Olivia." But deep down, I knew Chloe would probably get the spotlight. I dragged myself down the stairs, heart hammering. The smell of pine, cinnamon, and cookies filled the air. And then I saw it. Parked in the driveway, glinting like it belonged in a magazine, was a brand new BMW. Shiny. Perfect. Completely unmissable. And there was Chloe standing with her hands on her hips, grin practically radiating from her face like she'd just won the lottery. "Merry Christmas," she chirped, her voice dripping with smugness. "Dad says it's all mine." I froze. $80,000 for her. I turned my gaze to the gifts under the tree, and then my heart sank. There it was, my gift. Tiny, glittery, laughably small. I forced myself to open it. Inside was a $2 keychain. A keychain. $2. I felt my chest tighten. My hands trembled. My stomach knotted. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to run and never come back. But I didn't. I forced a smile. "Thanks," I mumbled, my voice tight and unnatural even to my own ears. Dad walked in, beaming with pride. "Isn't this wonderful? Chloe's first luxury car. Isn't this amazing?" His eyes flicked to me for a split second, just enough to remind me I was small, invisible, and insignificant. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. I forced a breath, and then it hit me. A thought so wild, so reckless, that I could feel my pulse spike with excitement and fear at the same time. I walked outside. The BMW gleamed in the morning sun, and suddenly, I realized something critical. I had the keys, all of them. Legally, the car was mine. Dad had forgotten to finalize Chloe's registration. In that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. I slid into the driver's seat. The leather smelled rich, intoxicating. I gripped the steering wheel, heart hammering, blood rushing in my ears. The engine purred, smooth, strong. "Alive. Let's go," I whispered. I drove away, leaving behind shocked gasps, Chloe screaming and Dad pacing the driveway. "Wait, that's mine. Stop," Chloe yelled, tears and fury mixing in her voice. My phone buzzed. A voicemail from Dad. "Return it immediately, or we'll report it stolen." His tone dripped with panic and anger. I laughed softly at first, then louder. My chest was tight, adrenaline buzzing through me. But I felt unstoppable. They had no idea. They thought they were in control. This time, I was the one holding all the cards. I parked the BMW at a quiet spot near the park, heart racing, hands still shaking. I rested them on the steering wheel, taking a deep breath, feeling alive in a way I never had before. For the first time, I wasn't the overlooked sibling. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't invisible. I was seen. And in that moment, I decided this Christmas, I wasn't just taking a car. I was taking control of my life. Will Dad actually call the cops? How will Chloe react to being outsmarted? How far will I go to finally get the respect and validation I deserve? I hadn't gone far, just a few blocks from my house. But the thrill of being in control for the first time in my life made my heart race like I'd just run a marathon. I parked the BMW under a row of tall oak trees, sunlight glinting off the car like it was mine, and mine alone, because legally, It was. My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. I hesitated, then pressed play. Olivia, I swear this is serious. Return that car right now, or we'll call the cops. Dad's voice was shaking. Not calm authority. Not the voice of the man who had always controlled me, but panicked, desperate, scared. For the first time, I realized just how much power I actually had. I laughed quietly, the sound trembling between nerves and exhilaration. Cops, I muttered to myself. They're about to learn a very expensive lesson about underestimating me. And then, the chaos began. By the time I dared glance at my phone again, texts were flooding in. Mom's voice notes, Chloe screaming in all caps via text messages. You stole it. Give it back now. This is not funny. I sat back in the seat, letting the tension wash over me. My chest was tight, hands still shaking, but there was a strange, delicious satisfaction in knowing that they couldn't do a thing. They thought they were in control, but they weren't. Chloe called next. I let it ring, then rang again. I answered. Olivia, you little, she started, and I cut her off. Relax, Chloe. It's fine. Don't worry. The car, it's perfectly legal. There was a pause, and then silence. I could almost hear the panic setting in over the line. You... what? Yes, I said calmly, leaning back in the seat. It's legally mine. Dad forgot to finalize your registration. I think you'll find that technically, I'm the owner. I could hear her breath hitch. You're joking. I wasn't. The next hour was a blur. Dad called again, shouting. Mom sent frantic texts, pleading for calm. Chloe tried everything. Threats, guilt trips, emotional manipulation. But every time, I stayed calm. Every time, I reminded myself that I was finally in control. It felt like I could see everything. From a new angle, all the years of being ignored, being told I wasn't good enough, being overlooked while Chloe got the spotlight. Every single slight came rushing back, but now I had the upper hand. By noon, Chloe had gone silent. I imagined her pacing in the driveway, screaming into her phone, at Dad, her carefully curated world of control crumbling around her. And I was sitting in the BMW, hands on the wheel, tasting freedom. It was intoxicating. And then came the final message. Mom, Olivia, please, just bring the car back. Please. I stared at the screen. My chest swelled with a quiet triumph. The family that had always dictated my worth, dictated my life, was finally scrambling to me. And for the first time, I could choose how this played out. The thrill of control, of justice, coursing through me. It was almost overwhelming, almost. But the day wasn't over. The real fun, the real drama, was just beginning. I could feel it. Chloe's humiliation would only grow. Dad's panic would only intensify. And I was ready to watch it unfold. Carefully, strategically. This wasn't just a car anymore. It was a statement, a turning point, a reckoning. The moment I realized the car was legally mine, something inside me shifted. It wasn't just a BMW anymore. It was my symbol of freedom, my ticket out of being the overlooked sibling, my proof that I could finally be seen. I ran my hands along the leather interior, feeling the smooth, expensive texture, and smiled. This wasn't rebellion, it was justice. By mid-morning, I noticed the first ripple of neighborhood attention. A few of the neighbors peeked from their windows, whispering, pointing. I waved, keeping a calm, confident smile. Olivia, in a BMW. It sounded almost absurd, almost too good to be true. But the truth? It was mine. All mine. Meanwhile, my phone exploded with messages. Chloe, frantic, kept trying everything she could think of to regain control. Dad will call the cops. You can't do this. Give it back, she texted repeatedly. I responded calmly, almost teasingly. Relax. It's perfectly legal. Maybe you should learn to read documents before freaking out next time. Her replies became furious, incoherent, a mix of panic and rage. That's when I realized she had no power here. All the manipulation, all the theatrics, all the golden child entitlement, none of it mattered. I was untouchable. Dad called again, voice trembling with frustration and disbelief. Olivia, you don't understand. This isn't a joke. You have to. I understand perfectly, Dad. I interrupted, calm as ever. The car is in my name. Technically, Chloe doesn't own it. And until you recognize that, well, there's really nothing you can do. I could almost hear the blood draining from his face through the phone. He had always been the one in control. He had always dictated who was right, who was wrong, who got what. But now, I was controlling the narrative. I spent the afternoon driving around, feeling the thrill of attention, the quiet satisfaction of being untouchable. Every honk from a passing car, every double take from a neighbor, every small sign that people were noticing me. It felt like fuel. For the first time in years, I felt visible. Chloe tried to rally our friends, even some extended family, to pressure me. She sent group texts, called mutual acquaintances, even tried guilt-tripping Mom into forcing me to do the right thing. But each attempt only reinforced my realization. The more they pushed, the stronger I became. And then came the first real test. Chloe confronted me in person, storming up to where I'd parked. Her hands were shaking. Her face was red, her voice breaking between rage and desperation. Olivia, you're insane. This car, it's mine. Dad said it's mine. Give it back now. I looked at her calmly, leaning against the door of the BMW. I could see the fear and frustration in her eyes, the first cracks in her perfect golden child armor. Chloe, it's not yours. It never was. You should have read the paperwork. You should have paid attention. Now, it's mine. Until you accept that, screaming and stomping aren't going to change anything. Her jaw tightened. She opened her mouth to yell again, but I held up a hand, stopping her. You want respect? You want people to listen to you? You don't get it by entitlement. You get it by action, by responsibility, something you've never understood. And then I watched as her frustration boiled over into helpless fury. That's when it hit me. This was no longer just about a car. This was about proving, finally, that I had power, that I was seen, that I could set the rules. Dad called again that evening, voice trembling with panic. He tried bargaining, pleading, threatening. I listened, calmly, strategically. Every word he spoke only reminded me of all the years of being dismissed, overlooked, underestimated. And now, the tables had turned. By sunset, Chloe had retreated, storming back into the house, slamming doors. Dad and Mom were pacing, whispering, trying to figure out how to regain control. And me? I sat in the BMW, feeling a quiet, victorious satisfaction. For once in my life, the people who had always had all the power had none over me. The next morning, I woke up with a strange mix of excitement and anticipation. Overnight, I had felt something shift in the family dynamic. Chloe had been silent since yesterday, which, given her usual drama, was already a victory. Dad and Mom were pacing, whispering behind closed doors, their panic obvious even from across the street. I knew it was time. It was time to end this little charade, and for the first time, reveal the full truth. I texted Chloe, "Meet me in the driveway. We need to talk." Her response came almost immediately, a mix of fury and disbelief. "You better give it back," I smiled. Not out loud, just to myself, but it was a small, quiet smile of triumph. She had no idea. When she stormed into the driveway, hands on her hips, I leaned casually against the BMW, pretending to be relaxed. "Okay, Chloe," I said slowly, letting the suspense stretch. "Here's the thing. I'm not taking this car away from you, out of spite, because legally, it's mine." Her eyes widened. "What?" "Yes," I continued, savoring the moment. "Dad never finalized the registration in your name. That car, it was always in my name. So when I drove it, technically, I was just reclaiming what was mine." Her face went pale, lips trembling. You can't be serious." I nodded. "Dead serious. You can scream, you can cry, you can threaten, but legally, you have zero claim." I watched as her fury turned into disbelief, then into helplessness. She tried to argue, tried to guilt-trip me, tried to make Mom and Dad intervene. But by now, even Mom's voice had no effect. Dad's face was red, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. He couldn't believe it. His authority, his control, his golden child system, crumbling before his eyes. And the best part, I wasn't cruel. I didn't need to yell or smash things or humiliate anyone publicly. I just stood there calmly, leaning against the car, letting them feel the full weight of underestimating me. Then came Chloe's desperate attempt at damage control. Dad, Mom, this isn't fair. She tricked me. Dad's hands shot into the air, voice shaky. Olivia, we didn't know. I interrupted him, voice calm but firm. You didn't know because you never thought I could take control. You never believed I could outsmart you. That's your mistake, Dad. For the first time in my life, the man who had always dictated the rules was speechless. Chloe, the golden child, had no word. Mom's silent support for Dad was gone. She knew I was in the right. I leaned back, enjoying the quiet satisfaction that came from years of being ignored and underestimated. This was my moment. And then I made the final move. I handed Chloe a copy of the registration documents, letting her see the undeniable proof. Her hands shook. She looked at me like I had grown 10 feet taller overnight. You owned it all along, she whispered, almost defeated. I nodded. Yeah, legally, this is mine. But I'm letting you have one thing. You can sit in the passenger seat if you like. Just remember, respect is earned, not given. Her jaw dropped. I could see the humiliation and realization wash over her. Dad's shoulders slumped, and Mom quietly shook her head. I had won, not through anger, not through shouting, but by being smart, calm, and strategic. And for the first time, I felt completely seen, not overlooked, not underestimated, seen. The morning after the big reveal, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. The air seemed different, the world sharper, brighter. I had finally claimed my power, and for the first time, the house no longer felt suffocating or unfair. Chloe was quiet, uncharacteristically quiet. She avoided eye contact at breakfast, poking at her food, mumbling only when spoken to. I could see the embarrassment in her posture, the slouched shoulders, the forced small voice. For once, she wasn't the golden child. For once, I had the upper hand. Dad and Mom tried to act normal, but the tension was palpable. Dad cleared his throat several times, glancing at me nervously, like he was realizing all over again that he had underestimated me. Mom offered a small, tentative smile, acknowledging my victory without saying a word. I sipped my coffee, leaning back and let it all sink in. The thrill of being in control, the satisfaction of finally being seen, it was intoxicating. But there was also a quiet, deeper joy. Justice had been served. Chloe tried to speak. Olivia, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I looked at her calmly. It's not about forgiveness, I said. It's about respect. You should have treated me like an equal a long time ago. You should have paid attention, taken responsibility, and respected boundaries. Her head hung lower, and I could see she understood. Finally, Dad cleared his throat again, voice small. Olivia, I'm sorry too. We didn't realize. I nodded. It's okay, Dad. What matters is that we learn from it, that you see me as capable, as responsible, and as someone who deserves to be heard. The rest of the day passed quietly. Chloe avoided arguments. Dad moved more carefully around me, and Mom even made a point to smile at me sincerely, for the first time that morning. Later, I drove the BMW again, this time with Chloe silently beside me. She didn't speak. She didn't yell. She just let me drive, letting the lesson sink in. And I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The power wasn't about humiliating them. It was about proving, once and for all, that I could stand up for myself. By evening, the house felt different. There was still tension, yes, but there was also a new respect. Subtle, unspoken, but real. I had changed the rule. I had taken my place, not as the overlooked sibling, but as someone who mattered. That Christmas, I didn't just get the BMW. I got recognition. I got respect. I got a sense of self that no one could ever take away. And for once, when Chloe glared at me, I didn't feel small. I felt seen, heard, and powerful. As I sat in the driver's seat that night, the engine humming gently, I whispered to myself, this is just the beginning. No one will ever underestimate me again. And for the first time, I truly believed it. Thank you for listening.